how did you make the connection between a film festival and Missions Fest?
From what I understand, because I was drawn into it, the 2010 Vancouver Olympics is really what was the catalyst for the Missions Fest Vancouver Film Festival, because Missions Fest was not allowed to use Canada Place, which was the venue that they always used, but the Olympic Committee folks tied up all these venues, so Missions Fest was not allowed to meet there. So that created an opportunity to say, where is Missions Fest going to go? And they ended up with Broadway Church, Italian Cultural Center, and Vantec High School to run Missions Fest in 2010. And the 600-seat theater that's in Vantec High School, the idea was that what they were going to do there is simulcast the keynote speakers from Broadway Church into Vantec Theater, so that you get a large screen experience, even though you weren't there in person with the speaker. And then somebody kind of said, "Oh well, it's a shame that when there isn't a keynote speaker, this theater is going to be sitting dormant." And so they're like, I wonder if we could show films here, So then a few of us who were involved in film locally were drawn in to form a committee and see if we could program the first film festival for Missions Fest.
What was that like?
Well, it was great. It was very rewarding, very encouraging in a lot of ways. We were able to program various films and have filmmakers come and speak after the films. And we had talkbacks with them. And then we did offshoot workshops as well. So, it was a very rich time. We had a gathering of all the filmmakers who came and local filmmakers who were showing their work and just really an opportunity to connect and share, and that was very powerful as well. And I would say some seeds were planted there that really grew. One young man attended that year, and I think he was maybe in grade 11, and sought me out after Missions Fest. We went for lunch, and he got really involved in filmmaking, studied it at SFU, and just has gone incredible places. And a lot of partnerships through people from the Missions Fest Vancouver Film Festival. So so it's neat to see how these different branches evolved. There was both a really good festival, audience really enjoyed it, learned a lot. Filmmakers came from elsewhere, met each other, learned a lot, and then this sort of new generation kind of aspect to it as well. So,
how did you curate all those films?
A few slots which were like collection of short films. So some longer films, and then some blocks which had shorter pieces. And so the longer films, just through network of people we knew were filmmakers or particularly had a film ready, we would check with them. And I think that first year anyway, we didn't have a problem programming. It came relatively easily that these connections we had, it just worked out. They were content that had some mission aspect to them, and just were a really good fit. So we managed to cover a lot of ground and open doors for people to see stuff that they just never would have otherwise had an opportunity to be exposed to.
Tell me a bit more about that. What was it like seeing the audience make that connection?
It was very rewarding. People, feedback was really good, and particularly when we were able to have filmmakers there and we could do a Q&A after a screening, it was powerful. And people, there were just like connections that we had no idea. People in the audience had been to that particular country or whatever, it was, and shared, and, people. Sometimes there was we had years where we had prayer people in the audience, or around surrounding the audience that people could go to for prayers. So some of these very sensitive topics, obviously people have backgrounds that might include that, so we wanted to be really sensitive to that, and so people availed themselves of the prayer people that were there to support.
I had never made the connection between missions and film, honestly, before.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing to see, how film can be that tool to inspire people to get into missions. Had you made that connection before you were contacted?
I don't know that I actually thought of it in a sense as a catalyst for other people to go on missions. Yeah. But that's really, I feel like that is what it does. Because you can see it, it's very tangible when you can see it. And you go, oh, okay. We had all kinds of stories of missionaries. One in particular that comes to mind is it's a short documentary, if I recall, called Crooked Legs. And it's about a woman who had polio as a child. And so she has crooked legs. But, in spite of mission boards and whoever telling her no, she can't be a missionary, sure enough, she ended up as a missionary. And not just a missionary to anywhere, but a missionary in Papua New Guinea, where their stature is quite short. And she was like the perfect fit for them. How God orchestrated all of that. Extremely powerful, and I think people then can see, oh, well, even in her flaws and her foibles, God still used it and had the perfect marriage of where she would be such a profound missionary.
What will always be your fondest memory of Missions Fest?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's hard. There's so many. One of the things we wanted to do is honor local filmmakers and give them a place to showcase their work, and voice in a venue is one of the sort of catchphrases we would always say. And so making sure that as many of them could come as possible and getting them together. Usually we had sort of like a kickoff, a little hors d'oeuvres kickoff just before the film festival started, the first film, the opening night film. And that, I think, for me was very special. And then seeing the filmmakers be able to interact with the audiences, that was always very meaningful to me personally. Yeah.